want to share an experience that I had around the time when I was about 17, summer before my senior year of high school. I was spending some time one evening with some friends, and I have to say before I really go into the experience that I haven't really known exactly how to share this with people, even though I think it's a very important experience to share, because there is a connection to what my friends were doing that evening, and some things that I wouldn't recommend. Now, my friends at that time I guess they were smoking some pot. They had marijuana, and I had never smoked this before. And I don't believe that the experience I had was actually connected in any real way with what they were doing, or with the kind of experience you would have from these sort of things. But it did trigger something within me, and my friends didn't really know what to make of what I was experiencing with that night, because they were just doing what they normally do, and were getting high and talking about stupid things like you will, things that you don't remember the next day. Now, what I was experiencing was something very different, but I have to preface what I'm saying with that. I do not recommend drugs as a pathway to spiritual experiences, though I may have had experiences like that in my life. I know that anything that you can experience can be experienced through the practice of meditation and just looking within oneself. And that is the truest foundation that we can ever have. So, with that said, I was out with some friends, and we went onto the hillside of a elementary school. So there were ball fields all around. It was a nice grassy hills, very relaxing spot in the evening with the nice breeze, and it was a nice summer evening in Virginia. And the evening had come on, so we could see the stars, and the sun was just setting. We were smoking this pot, and it wasn't having really any effect on me. And I'd never done this before, and I understand that's probably pretty normal for anybody's first time doing this kind of thing. And anyway, so my friends were just saying, "Wow, this is good stuff," and you're not feeling it? And I said no, and they said, "Well, why don't you get up and move around a bit?" So I got up and started doing these jumping jacks on the hill, and I kept doing the jumping jacks and kept doing them, and I felt this energy welling up within my body. So you could feel it shooting out my legs and arms as I was doing this, and out my head and all around it. Suddenly it felt like it kind of had a hold of me, this energy, and I kind of let go into the energy, and I felt it moving through me, and it just kind of picked me up, and I could just feel it almost involuntarily. My body was this energy moving through it, and I was doing these jumping jacks on the hill, and I stopped and looked around, and things became very distorted, because this energy that was moving through me at that time began to really, it was coming through so intensely that it began to distort my vision of things, and things became very hallucinogenic for a while there. It looked like the lampposts were turning and looking around and were bending, and I was seeing a lot of distorted things, and I told my friends what I was seeing, and they were just laughing and giggling and thought it was hilarious. And I think we decided to move on out of there for some reason. It was time to go, and as we got into the car, I was in the back seat and my friends were up front, and I could feel that energy in me as it was coursing up and down my spine, and I could feel it going out the top of my head, and felt like if you see when a top is spinning and it has this kind of energy to it, I could feel the energy just rippling up and out the back top of my head, kind of through the crown chakra. And since then I've come to know that this was a sort of kundalini awakening. Now this doesn't mean when people study kundalini that I'm saying that I have a full-blown awakened kundalini, but this was a kundalini opening experience. Now, I believe that it's related to why I had this experience when these other guys were just sitting around doing this, smoking pot, and why I had this kind of experience, I believe is related to my own experiences in past lives in meditation, working as a yogi, and doing other spiritual practices. And it just took this kind of shock to my system to shift my awareness out and into that. The closest thing in literature that I've read to what I experienced after this is in Carlos Castaneda's books of his dealings with Don Juan. So he was a Yaqui Indian sorcerer. They were shamans, and Carlos Castaneda talks about seeing, and when he uses the word seeing is related to getting beyond the illusion of physical reality and seeing the energy underneath of things. So it's like what happened with that was there was a shifting of the assemblage point. That's another technical term that Carlos Castaneda uses for how to alter the awareness, how to see other worlds. And anyhow, so I'm in the car and we're driving along, and the energy's moving through me, and it was very intense. I mean, I could feel the energy radiating out of the crown chakra, and I could feel. I wouldn't have called it that at that time. I didn't know anything about the chakras or kundalini, but the energy was moving up and down the spine, and we finally ended up at I was going to stay at another friend's house, but I think I ended up just sleeping in the yard that night because I was out and I started to see the energy when I would look at my own hands. I would look at my hands and I could see the energy that was kind of radiating out. I started to see the aura around my body, and I was seeing the what they call in kind of Eastern, Eastern philosophy, they have the nadis, the energy points within the energetic body system. I was seeing these points of energy, and I was seeing the radiating lines of light as they connected and moved about this, and I was beginning to see these things almost more than I was seeing what I came to see as the illusory shell of physical reality that we imagine on top of that. And so I was sitting in the grass, and I was seeing my body as this energy, and I was seeing the energy in the earth and in the grass and in the trees, and how it went down into the earth and up into the sky. And I was looking at trees, and you could just see the amazing movement, the breathing of the energy of life into the tree and out into the leaves, and connecting to the cosmos, and the cosmos connecting to, through into the planet, and me into the planet. And at that one point, I became completely one with that energy, and I saw that it was essentially who we really are, and what is behind all of this. And I think I was there, lying on the grass, looking up into the trees, and experiencing this energy, and seeing these things, and having these kind of consciousness expansions and shifts of awareness, as I would see and understand things differently. And one of my friends stayed with me. I think he was a little worried when I was telling him all the things that I was seeing, and he knew that it was just he didn't know what was happening with me, and so he stuck around, and he was asking me questions, and I would tell him whatever it seemed to be my answer to that at that point, which really wasn't anything that I was familiar with at that time. But at one point, to make to explain a point to him about what I was seeing and how this was illusion and what was real that was underneath of it, I remember I got up and I told him, I said, look, I mean, look around. This is like, it's like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. There's the, you know, the cars are like matchboxes. It's just, these are all just these phony, in a sense, it is like they're just these shells, these illusory projections that we put onto all of these things. And I mean, I said like that. I think, and then I said, look at that stop sign over there. It's like a, you know, a matchstick with a bunch of paper on it, as far for that matter. I mean, it's nothing. And I walked over to the stop sign, and I grabbed it and I pulled it out of the ground to show him. And it had a huge mass of concrete hung to the bottom of it, on top of. You know, whether somebody could say, well, maybe it was loose in the ground. I mean, I remember at the time it was kind of an effortless thing. I pulled it right out of the ground and threw it over to, you know, the grass beside me. And his jaw dropped to the ground, but I could tell there was some kind of doubt still. So I walked across to the street sign on the other side of the street, and I pulled it out of the ground, and I set it on the grass next to that. And I know that when there are all sorts of teachings out there that talk about the illusory nature of things, but when we can truly get into that place where it isn't an intellectual thing, where it is a true understanding within us of our reality, then miraculous things are possible. And that is what we hope to achieve in meditation. Is the more we can just get our minds to be quiet and get out of the way, we are able to see the reality that is beneath, that is hiding, just waiting, your true self behind all these things. And I wanted to share all that with you in hopes that it might inspire some of you to sit quietly, to still your mind, to go into meditation, and to find out these things for yourselves. My truth cannot be your truth, but through looking within yourself, you can find your truth. That is the only real way. And blessings to you all. Thanks for watching.